Peace, blessings, and much love to you. My name is Vada, and I am a holistic wealth advocate. I do vegan meal preps, I chef, I cater, and I also do Taco Tuesdays from time to time. But my biggest goal is to share the good news about plants. A teaspoon of love challenged me to create a meal based on what they've selected out of vegetables, and I'm so excited to see what I create. So let's see what they've got for us. Wow. Okay, got some good stuff. So we've got tomatoes, chickpea pasta, eggplant. Wow. Kale, my favorite, and jackfruit. I see they have taco shells here, so I think I'll probably create some tacos because that's my thing. I do Taco Tuesday all the time. And we've got quinoa, which is awesome because it's an ancient grain and it's easy, digestible. And we have jackfruit, which is packed with vitamins and minerals. Here's the jackfruit here. This is the original form. I don't think I can do all this, but I see that they have some they have some canned jackfruit there. And this has a enormous amount of fiber in it. And it's also good for cancers, detoxing. Anything that you can think of, jackfruit is good for. So I'm excited to see what we create today with the jackfruit and all these yummy veggies. Peace, family. So we're back, and I've decided to create jackfruit tacos with a side of quinoa and beans. So I have my jackfruit here. As you can see, this is the original jackfruit. However, we've used a canned jackfruit, and you can usually find these at your Asian markets. Sometimes I get it for Wegmans, if you're familiar with Wegmans. But I have them soaking so they're not in the brine anymore. They soak for about an hour, and they are in spring water to ensure its nutritious factor. And then also I have some chopped up kale here. And what I did with the kale, as you can see, it was whole. I deveined them just like this. And you can use the stems for juicing, but you don't want that in your tacos because they're a bit tough. They're a bit tough. So, and then I just chopped them finely. And this is what we have here. And then I chopped up some onions finely, white onion. And I have tomato and lime here too for our tacos, for our taco prep. Right now I'm going to kale and some onion. I like a little onion on the top of my taco, extra onion, so we're gonna leave a little bit. And then, let me see here. Take the limes out. And tomato. And then right here we have some plain yogurt, which we're going to use to dress the salad, and some lime. So I just need a spoon, which there is right there. Give me 1 second. Give it some flavor. And then I have some mushroom powder here that I get from Trader Joe's. I love this mushroom. It brings an earthiness to everything, right? And then we mix. So the acidity and the creaminess. I need to get some sugar in here too. I'm glad they have sugar. I should use agave. That's what I usually use. But I will do another lime. Sorry.
Action.
All right. So before we can complete the dish, I have a little addition to add to the kale slaw. We have C-Fet's homegrown honey here, which is beautiful. It smells delightful. I can't wait to add it. You add a little sweetness to the slaw. There we go. And now we're gonna work with our jackfruit. And I like to get my hands into the jackfruit too. So I break up the jackfruit with my hands because that way I can ensure the pieces are to my liking and also I can connect to the food as well like that. So it takes a little bit, but it's all going to be worth it, let me tell you. And you don't want to put big hefty chunks inside of the the pot for sure, because it takes a while for the jackfruit to kind of break down. This way you're helping it along. If you are in a time constraint, you might want to put it in the food processor, because the tough little bits right here, they're extremely difficult to even cut up. So that's why I use my hands. I've been doing this for years, so. And you don't want to put big hefty chunks inside of the the pot for sure, because it takes a while for the jackfruit to kind of break down. This way you're helping it along. If you are in a time constraint, you might want to put it in the food processor, because the tough little bits right here, they're extremely difficult to even cut up. So that's why I use my hands. I've been doing this for years, so. I guess we'll come back when we're all done breaking up the jackfruit. Okay, so we have our jackfruit strained and soaked, and then we strained the beans and rinsed those off from the can. And we chopped up some, I said we, but me. I chopped up some onions and tomato. So now I got the heat on the pot already. I'm using some sesame seed oil. Sorry, you can see that, to oil the pan for the jackfruit and the beans, because I'm gonna cook these two simultaneously. Okay. Let that oil heat up a little bit. Turn this up a little bit, and now I'm starting on medium heat for both. And typically I would use a cast iron skillet for the jackfruit, but today we're gonna make do with what we have and fry it up on this skillet. And then we have, I'll let that cool down, not cool down, but saute a bit. And then I'm going to add in my tomatoes and onion for the beans. So I'm going to season that up, both of them actually. This is some garlic and onion powder for both. Boom, boom. And the ancestors tell us how much to put in, okay? We don't measure over here, but the ancestors tell us. This is the mushroom again. Add a little bit more of that. Some pepper. And the seasoning that I'm gonna put in already has pepper in it. So I'm not gonna add any pepper to the jackfruit because it's already gonna be spicy enough. And then I'm gonna add this special sazon that sometimes I mix together myself. That's why the label's off, because that's not really what was in here. Okay, so we're gonna stir it up. And let that cook down. And you want it to be flavorful, so add water as it cooks, because it's going to take about 15 minutes to actually break down, and then we're going to fry it. So we have to soften up the jackfruit first, and actually I'm going to put a lid on it in a second. Now we're stirring up the seasoning to our little slurry here, our little, I guess I call it a sauce. So the beans will have nice flavor. Okay. Let that saute a bit. I'm gonna get, and we've already have some quinoa sitting here ready for the beans, so we can mix the beans and the quinoa together. We've already made that up, and that's easy. If you have a quinoa, you do 1 part water to 1 part quinoa, and you let the water boil. And then what you do after that, after it starts to boil, you add the quinoa, let it boil for about 2 minutes, and then turn down the heat. Put the lid on, and then you let it set, and it'll fluffen up. So that's quinoa. So right now, as you can see, the jackfruit is getting a little bit less, frying. So you're just gonna add a little bit of water as you go to keep the moisture, so that way it can continue cooking. But you want to keep the flavor, so you always got to add a little water at a time, just a little water. And that way it ensures you keep the flavor of it. And then we're going to add the beans. I'm going to need the water again. Add the beans here. And we're going to mix it up into that little gravy that we made. Cover it with the flavor. And sometimes I would use, if you have like some sazon packet or achote, and you just want to cover the beans slightly so it ensures the flavor. Again, don't fill it up too much. Okay, and then you're gonna cover it up and let that simmer. Added the last little bit of water, and when it boils out, that's when you want to start to fry it. So I wanted to show you what it looks like with the water inside of here, and the difference it will look like. So you keep adding the water until it's done, and then it starts looking translucent almost, and you can see you can break it down with a fork, which I'll show you later. So we're gonna wait till all the water cooks out.
And speak on how many times you did it.
So I added water here about 3 times before it started becoming translucent. And you add a little bit of water at a time, like I said, so you can keep the flavor in there. That's the purpose of adding little water at a time. Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. So now that all the water has disintegrated or cooked out, I'm going to use the oil and we're going to start frying it up, okay? So you pour the oil on here, and right now I'm going to use my special seasoning that I have here, which is full of chipotle, chili powder, garlic, cumin, oregano, and that is what makes carnitas. Add a little bit more. And then what I do, first I'm going to mix it all in there, the seasoning. Make sure it's all evenly incorporated. Normally with the cast iron skillet, it makes the edges crispy. Hopefully it will crisp up a little bit, but if not, that's fine because it's still going to taste amazing. And then what we do here, now that the jackfruit is all cooked down and it's softer, I'm going to shred it just like I would shred chicken. So I took 2 forks and I'm just breaking it down. See those big pieces right there? Sometimes I smash them. And I'm just going to continue doing that until it's to my liking. And some people like the jackfruit, in bigger chunks, but I find that the surface area is better when it's little because you can get the seasoning on every bit of the jackfruit once you break it up like that. And prior to cooking it down, you wouldn't be able to smash it up like this. Jackfruit is extremely hard. And if you don't know how to cook them right, it could taste like just a regular old bland jackfruit. But like this, you're getting all the flavor, you're mashing the flavor down, and like I said, connecting with the food. Showing it some love. Okay, and we did most of the work beforehand by breaking it up in that water, if you remember. So I'm using a spatula here, and I'm gonna take the pieces off of the bottom to get all that flavor. We don't want to leave the flavor in the pan. I'm gonna continue frying until it crisps up a little bit more. But for the most part, it's almost ready. It's almost ready. I'm just gonna continue breaking it down a little bit more. Add a little bit more oil since the pan is not the cast iron skillet, because we don't want it to stick as much. We don't want those big chunks there, you see? And there we go. All right, now we are at our final reveal, and it looks and smells delicious. We have our quinoa with our beans. And then we have a flour tortilla and a kale tortilla. The flour tortilla is topped with jackfruit and kale slaw, and the same for the kale taco, but the difference is the kale taco is almost fully alkaline. And alkaline means that your pH balance, or the pH balance of the food, is actually going to emulate that pH balance in your body, so it can properly, can you edit? Okay, so you can properly function. At its highest and best self. Okay, so we are ready to dig in, and we're going to put our CFET homegrown hot sauce on here, made with fresh vegetables grown in Camden. So I'm excited to try it on our tacos, and let's see what it looks like as it goes on. All right now, y'all, let's see. I don't know how spicy it is. Let me get another plate. And try our taco. Ready? Yeah. So good. Amazing. You guys have to try this. The jackfruit is so good. Nice and tender, but it tastes like meat. And then the slaw gives it a nice tang. And the kale taco, I don't mind it at all, okay? I'm still getting my nutrition. And it's gonna fill me up with the quinoa and the beans.
All right. That's a good taco.
All right.
Yeah. Let me try this too.
It's okay. It's messy. The messier the better, though.
I don't want to waste it.
It's okay.
It's because it's so good. All right. This is awesome. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. Thank you for trying. Thank you so much to CFET for using the kitchen, and also for the amazing hot sauce. And I'm so happy that I've accepted the mission of completing the challenge for the Teaspoon of Love cookbook. And as you can see, it was a big hit. So much gratitude to you, and I hope you try this recipe at home. Peace.
I've got an idea!